All right, hello. Welcome to the stream. Hello, Digic. What's up? Welcome, welcome. Yeah, so today I'm going to be working on this sort of new feature, which is the ability to freely swap around affixes in Gunforged. So yeah, I would start up the game and show you how that's all working, but it's kind of broken right now, so we got to fix it. And make sure the cat is not trying to bother me here. All right, come up. Come on. Come on. So, yeah, we got to make sure that it works, first of all. And the plan is, so all the affixes of the gun, they change how your gun behaves. They add a bunch of damage. They can do all kinds of wacky things. Previously, that would be attached to the guns, or the gun parts that you would get randomly after each wave. And so you didn't really have control over it. You kind of had to rely on randomness to get the things that you wanted to get. So with this new system that I'm developing, all of the affixes become runes, and the runes can be slotted in and out of your weapons freely. So I'll just talk to this screen a little bit right here before we get into it. So this is sort of the general layout. And so for context, you'll fight through a wave. You'll get to the in-between wave sort of hub area, I guess you could say. And when you go to upgrade your weapons, you'll get presented with 3 random gun parts that may or may not have better stats than the gun parts you currently have. And you can freely swap those in and out of your gun as well. But then you'll also have a rune inventory here. So these are the available runes that you can see. And this rune inventory is permanent to the run. So as you collect runes, runes will go in your rune inventory. And then you'll be able to slot those runes into your weapons to have finer control over their behavior, basically. So I can talk about this system a little bit more as we get into it, but the plan is that, so each weapon part now has a new stat, which is rune slots, and that controls how many runes you can put into your weapon total. So if you've got 3 rune slots, you can do 3 runes. You could get up to, if you got really, really, really lucky, I think you could have up to 12 rune slots on a single gun, but that's like almost mathematically impossible based on how I'm generating that. But it will be common to get 6 or 7 or 8 rune slots on a single weapon, and you'll have complete control over which runes go in. So if you want to put, 8 poison runes on the gun, you could do that. If you do want to do like 1 of each different type, you could do that as well. So, yeah. So this system is in response to feedback that I got about players not having enough control over their build path. And so it maintains a lot of the randomness because you're still randomly receiving rune types from weapon parts and from drops. And so you're not going to be able to just like construct the exact build you want every time, but you do have control over when you have a certain rune and when you don't want to use a certain rune and all that good stuff. So that's the idea. And then I can start up this scene and show you all what I've got so far. Hello, Slap the Sushi. Love that name. I think I said that last time. Welcome to the stream. Are you going to do Diablo-style rune words? I'm not familiar with the concept of rune words. If you want to explain what those are a little bit. Hello, Michael. Ariane. Welcome, welcome. All right. So if I run this scene here, so this is a little test scene here. And this is very rough. This is probably not the layout that's going to be final. So don't worry about how this looks right now. But so I've got my guns. I can freely swap. So between my left gun and my right gun. And so I can just easily slot things in and out here. If I click on, well, this is part of what's broken here. So I can remove an equipped rune. So I just removed that poison rune and it went into my inventory here. And now you can see as I'm clicking on these runes, I've got some different things. So I could put bleed on this. So I could say add rune, and now I've got bleed. So that changes my gun right there. And then if I go ahead and just equip, so this receiver here, this shotgun receiver, it adds 2 rune slots. So I can equip that, and now I've got 3 rune slots available. And something's very wrong here. Okay, well, this is part of what we have to work on, but I can go ahead and add like the poison rune here. And I can go ahead and add something like this. So you're gonna have to, bear with me here. All of this is broken over here. But basically I've added those 3 different runes. So bleed, poison, and this shock grenade one. And those all contribute to my gun. All right, so let's see. In Diablo 2, there were combination sets of runes that combine to produce additional or unique effects. Oh, I do have something like that. I have status interactions that I've also started working on, which is like when poison and bleed combine together, they produce a unique effect. Same with like the oil and fire. So that is a system that I'm going to be working on as well, but gotta fix this broken mess here. Hello, Fernando. Did I already say hello? Well, hello again. All right. So basically what's on the docket for tonight is I have to fix all of this display here just to get it working. So the very tricky thing is I didn't build the system, the gun part system, with the intention of being able to freely swap affixes. And so rather than like do a complete overhaul of that entire system. Hello, Crash. Rather than do a complete overhaul of that entire system, I'm just kind of trying to like shoehorn the new rune system into that. So, but that's presenting quite a few challenges. So the first thing I'm going to do here is there's a bunch of errors being produced by this line of code here because I'm not finished with that. So I'm just going to return null out of there, and that should fix it. I think that was what was causing the crashes, but maybe not. Okay, so yeah, so obviously there's a couple of things wrong here. So I just need to figure out, there's a lot going on here. I can't scroll down on this either, which is not good. So one major problem is that the rune that is shown as being removed here is wrong. Like this is just not right at all. So let's fix that case. So this is a case where I have nothing equipped when it first starts up. So let's take a look at why that's happening. So there's this Gunforge UI script. This is where that's all going on. And so on ready, it's going to reset the gun preview. And then what is it going to do here? Update gun, set part resources here. So we're going to set part resources. Update preview. So this must be the culprit. So when this parameter here is null, it looks to be causing some issues here. So when I go to generate my stat labels and my affix labeled data, what's going on in here is it's assigning. So this is null. So this ends up being null. That's the ultimate culprit here. And then when I pass that into this get distributed affix data. So maybe I should explain what this is all doing if I can remember what it's doing. So to compare resources, let's quit out of that. So to compare resources could be null, which would result in an empty array. So what implications does that have? So basically what this utility function does here is it takes a set of gun parts, it compares them to another set of gun parts, and then it optionally can take in whatever new affixes are being added onto the gun. It's a lot to get into why that's necessary, but... And then this body of the method here, it basically determines, okay, based on the stats that are being passed in, how many rune slots are in the previous configuration, how many rune slots are in the new configuration, what are the new affixes or the runes that are coming in, and then given all that information, what it does is it basically chunks out a bunch of data for me. So first of all, it redistributes the affixes. So this redistributed affixes list here is basically a guarantee of here's the list of affixes that can fit on the gun with the current number of slots. And then I'm also determining which runes or affixes are new to the gun, which ones didn't change, and which ones were removed. So given all that information, I can just hopefully display the UI in a little bit easier of a way. The problem is that does not seem to be working at all. So the question is, why when I immediately start this up and nothing is selected, why does that automatically show a problem? So it happens when I don't have a part selected. That's the fundamental issue. So I guess we're just going to have to step into this and figure out what's going on. So let's add a conditional breakpoint here, and let's do this. We're going to condition. Oh no, we want to put that here. Condition is going to be to compare resources enumerable is equal to null. Okay, so we've got that conditional breakpoint done. And then I'm going to add another test or another configuration here. So edit configurations. Let's just, I'm just going to take this one over, UI. And this is going to open up which? Let's just copy, well, UI Forge, Gun Forge UI, okay. So UI Forge, Gun Forge UI. Okay, let's apply that. Okay, so now if I debug this, it should run that Gunforge UI and also put the breakpoint in there. Okay, perfect. So we've hit our breakpoint, and let's just go ahead and take a look through this. I know it's a recurrent question, but could you recommend good resources for learning C# in Godot? Good question. I don't know if I'm aware of any specific C# resources. Yeah, I don't know any off the top of my head. Does anyone in the chat know any good C# resources? Hello, Chief. I mean, you can start with the docs. I mean, if you can follow along with GDScript, then the C# is not really that much different. I mean, it's C# obviously, but in terms of how to interact with Godot, it's largely the same. But yeah, sorry I don't have anything more helpful on that question. So the to compare resources is null here, so let's just step through. So my additional affixes, we got nothing, cool. Existing, there should be a poison in here, I think. Oh, maybe not. I wonder if this is going to, okay. So this gets called a couple of times, so I just have to make sure that I'm in the right state here. So let's just step over. Okay, so there should be a poison in here. Yep, okay, so we've got a poison affix. I know that's really tiny, but just trust me when I say there's poison affix in there. So let's take a look. This should be 0, right? Oh no, that's 1. That's correct. Okay. And our additional affixes are 0. Good. So 2 compare slots. Oh, so this was the problem. Okay, so I already found the problem. So the reason that it's showing up as removing... So let me just continue playing here. So the reason why, when I have nothing selected, it's showing this as being removed is because it thinks that the rune slots is going down to 0 when I don't pass in a resource. So that's actually not good. So what I need to do is just check if this 2 compare resources enumerable is equal to 0. And if it is, I just need to defer to the I guess just the base slots here. So let's say, let's just do this. Var existing slots is equal to base resources. Okay, so we sum all that up. And then we say, okay, if 2 compare resources enumerable is equal to null, then we're going to set the 2 compare slots is equal to the existing slots. And then I'm actually going to simplify that. I'm going to remove that. 2 compare resources, sum otherwise existing slots, and we can get rid of this. Okay, so that's a little bit better. So if the 2 compare resources is null, it will defer to the existing number of slots. Otherwise, it will sum up the affix slots for the new resources there. Okay, so if I was correct, then we should see that that's not going to cause any issues anymore. Okay, so now it's not showing as removed. So yeah, this stream is basically just going to be this, is playing with the UI, figuring out where it's going wrong, and then fixing it. So one thing down. Let's do another one. Okay, so this is an interesting one, which I don't think I need to handle right now, which is that if I have a rune that would exceed the number of rune slots that I have on the gun, then it puts that rune on the gun, but then shows it as being removed. So I need to show a different UI here, but that's a separate issue. It's not necessarily related to the stat display over there. Okay, so in this case, I have an oil receiver, which both increases the number of rune slots and adds an oil rune. So the concept, so there are still weapon parts that will come with runes already on them. And so I have to deal with that scenario too, which is, you know, what happens if you take a weapon that has a rune on it, but it's like a 1-for-1 replacement, so the number of rune slots doesn't change. Well, now you have like an overflow, right? You're going to have that guaranteed rune, which is going to be 1 more than the number of rune slots, and so I have to figure out which runes to remove and all that good stuff. So there's a lot of edge cases to this system, but nothing that can't be worked through. So if I equip this, I've got my oil stack, I got my poison stack, and my rune slots go up. But now, let's see what happens when I replace it back. So I've got the Moss receiver that's going to decrement the number of rune slots by 1. And what it's showing me is that it's going to remove an oil stack. Now the question is it going to do that? And it did. Okay, that's good. So let's equip that. Let's add maybe a poison stack. Okay, so there's a problem right there. So I have 2 of the same runes, 2 poison runes on this gun, and what needs to happen is that it needs to combine them into a single bullet point, which it has done, but it's duplicated it, right? So I have adds 2 poison stacks, but this is duplicated. So we need to figure out how to fix that. Okay, so let's figure that out. First thing to do is to go to the Gunforge UI, and I have a bunch of test data that I'm generating in here. I think what I want to do is... Where's my test data? There it is. We'll get rid of that line. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, I'm going to remove this line. I'm going to make them just all poison. Affix options I equals affix registry dot get affix by name. So I'm just going to give myself all poison affixes, and then I should be able to test how that's working. The nice thing about doing this is I would highly recommend that if you're working with a complex UI or something, it's much easier to have a system that generates a bunch of test data for you. So that way, like, you can quickly iterate, right? So instead of trying to play the game over and over again and trying to get all these different combinations of things I want to test, I can just go right into the code and say, I want these items to test. And when I run this, I get all poison runes here. And so it's really nice. And then designing your UI in a way where once you've done that testing, you can just basically plug it into the game and it will work very quick. Okay, so I should probably run this in debug mode, but you can see if I remove one of these. Oh, we have a problem here. Why is it updating that title up there? Okay, there's a lot of weird things going on with this UI. It's very broken. Hello, Axajim. Love your content and learning from your videos. You suggest using components to build nodes. What do you think is the best approach to have a component that is a skeleton with a lot of sprites? I probably would not use a component for that. That sounds like something that, unless you're using the same like humanoid skeleton for everything, then maybe what you could do is create like a rig component or something, and then have an array of sprites that are exported on that component that correspond to where's the arm, where's the leg, where's the torso, or what is the torso look like and all that stuff. That's only if you have like the same rig though for like all of your enemies. If there's going to be any variability between the enemies in terms of how many bones it has or how it's animated or anything, I probably would just, and it sounds tedious, but I would just probably build it like specifically for each thing. I used to mess around with a little bit of like 2D skeleton animation, and I could not figure out a good way to generalize the skeleton to use across multiple enemies. It was just like it had problems no matter what approach I took. So I don't know if there's going to be a super clean way of doing that, but there's some ideas off the top of my head. Find yourself programming plugins more than game logic. Yeah, sometimes you just need to break down and I need to build all these developer tools for myself so that I can, feel more productive. And sometimes it does actually make you more productive. I have all kinds of code and test scenes for just like generating thousands of weapons and like seeing what the distribution is of how many affix slots there are and, what the DPS of the guns are. So it's definitely useful, but as your game gets more complex, you do spend a lot of time building out tools like that. Okay, so, let me write this down. I gotta write down what we're facing. So, selecting an equipped rune. Well, maybe I won't write this down. Maybe I'll just... Oh goodness, there's so much to do. All right, let's solve this problem here. It should, if I click on one of these equipped runes, the intention is that it needs to show me the updated stats over here showing that rune, that specific rune being removed, and that's not happening. So let's figure that one out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run in debug mode again. And we'll do some more debugging. So let's go ahead and see if I can increase my rune slots. Oh, I guess I don't even need to do that. Okay. So when I click on an equipped rune, what is that going to do? So if I go to my Gunforge UI, if I select, I think equipped affix is what it's called. Equipped affix index, yeah. So in here, what is happening here? So this is what's being called when I click on one of those runes that I have equipped in the gun. This is going to go all the way down. This is calling a method called get gun part resource with affix removed. Okay. And it's setting the comparison part here. Okay. Okay, so this gun part that's being passed into this comparison in here, which is the same thing that we just looked at, it has no affix. And so the problem that's happening, I can already see, is that by the time all the data gets passed down to this gun part utils static class here, it has no clue that my intention is to remove an affix. So that's a little bit of a wrench in things, isn't it? The problem is that I'm not considering the runes or slash affixes of this list of gun part resources coming in. And I don't remember why. So what I'm doing is this. So let me just back up. A gun part resource represents either a magazine or a barrel or a receiver. There are other types of resources. So like if I go to the gun magazine resource, for instance, this is what my gun magazine resource looks like. It extends from gun part resource. So all of the part resources extend from this base class, but then I have specific resource classes for each of the different gun part types. So essentially what this is always going to be is this is always going to be a list or an array of one of each type. So 3 elements: magazine, receiver, and barrel. And then what I do is I say, okay, what are the existing affixes on the gun? And I just do that by iterating over all of those parts and pulling out their affixes. I'm using runes and affixes interchangeably here, by the way. They're the same thing. But then this toCompare resource is a little bit different. So this never considers the affixes. It only considers the affix slots. And I think that's because there's no clean way of reconfiguring the affixes. So the way the comparison works, to back up again, is that I have the base resources, which I just explained, but then I basically pass in another set of 3 resources with slight modifications. And when I do that, I can generate the differences between the two. The problem is that the affixes aren't really, they're technically still stored as part of the gun part resource, but that's just kind of like a hack. So I didn't have to re-architect a bunch of things. Every time you slot in an affix, what essentially happens is it says, okay, you have 4 affixes that you want to be equipped on this gun, and I just need to spread them out across all of the individual parts with affix slots, right? So it might put 1 rune in the barrel because the barrel has 1 slot, and then 2 runes in the receiver, and then 1 rune in the magazine. So it just kind of spreads them all out across all the gun part resources. And so because of that, I really have no reliable way of determining like which resources are actually changing. So it's a little bit, it's a little bit complex. This is what hacky solutions will do. They will just blow up the complexity, but we're going with it. So I don't know exactly what I want to do. What I might have to do is, one second. Hello, Pip Dev. Welcome, welcome. I think what I'm going to have to do is just pass in. It's going to be a little bit messy, but I think I'm just going to have to say I want to remove this affix. Although I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work either. So let's just say that I passed in another enumerable here, which is a gun part affix, removed affixes. Oh, so what would I have to do? I would essentially have to take this new affix, this existing affixes, and I think just remove a bunch of affixes. All of the affixes that are in this enumerable, I think. I don't know if there's a better way to do that, so I'm just going to... I think I'm just going to have to do that. Yeah, I think I'm just going to have to do that. I think I'm just going to have to... Well, let's just see if that even works, and then maybe I can think of a better solution. So we're just going to pass in all this. Okay, and then in our labeled data args here, oh, I guess I'm still debugging. Let's just remove that. Okay. All right, so set comparison part, update preview, affixes to remove is equal to affixes to remove. Okay. Cool. So we go to generate stat labels, get affix labeled data. Okay. So in here, what are we going to do? We're going to pass in args dot affixes to remove. All right. So let's go into that. So now what do we need to do here? I think what needs to happen is I basically just need to iterate what's the best way to do this? So I'm just going to convert that to an array because Rider will complain about multiple enumeration if I don't. For each var affix to remove in affixes to remove. So now I don't know if I can use remove here. Because there's no guarantee that these affix objects will necessarily be equal. Maybe I'll do this. Well, maybe I won't. I just needed to get something working here, so let's do this. For each existing affix in base resources. So we're going to go ahead and search. Let's see. Affixes to remove dot first or default x dot get type is equal to existing affix dot get type. Okay. If affix to remove is not equal to null, then what we want to do is we want to say affixes to remove maybe we want to do this. We want to do toList, I guess. Definitely going to clean this up later, but okay, so if we found an affix to remove in the existing affix, then what we're going to do is we're going to remove affixes to remove dot remove. Oh goodness, too many of the same words. Affixes to remove dot remove affix to remove. Oh goodness. Else, let's do this. Existing affixes is equal to new list gun part affix. All right, so basically what's going on here is we're collapsing all the affixes across all of those base resources into a single list. And then we're iterating over each one. And then we're saying, if that affix type exists in this affixes to remove list, then we're actually going to not add that to the existing affixes. And we're going to remove that from this list. So we're not removing more than one occurrence at a time. So that way, if you say, well, I'm removing one poison rune, but there's 3 poison runes, well, it's only going to remove a single one from that. So that's fine. And I think what else I need to do is I need to removed affixes. I'm pretty sure I need to bring this up and add that. Removed affixes dot add. Okay, so I think that's gonna work. Maybe. We shall see. I don't think I need this here. Okay, well. Select equipped affix index. Right. So then I pass in that affix that I'm selecting. All right, well, only one thing left to do is test it. I have a feeling that that's not exactly going to work, but did I forget to write remove? Is that actually working? So if I up my rune slots to 2, and then I equip another rune, this is a separate issue which we'll fix, but so if I do that, but then I select one of these, I can say, oh, that's removing one, so this is actually correct. I don't know why these aren't staying selected, but this is actually correct here. So yeah, when I select one, it goes from, it shows that it's removing one poison stack and it's keeping one. Whereas it has 2 on it right now, right? So that's actually correct. And if I remove that, it goes in. Perfect. Okay. So I'm gonna do a little bit of a more rigorous test on this. I'm gonna go to my Gunforge UI here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, let's see. So I'm gonna say, if I is less than 3, we'll generate random ones, and then else will generate 3 poison. So I have a little bit of, you know, I can mix and match instead of using all the same ones. And that should give me a clearer picture of if this is working, just broadly speaking. Okay. So that will give me 3 rune slots there. Let's go ahead and add a poison stack. Okay, good. If I want to remove, okay, well, we got a poison stack on there, another poison stack, another poison stack. Are these all poison still? Oh, no. Okay, there's something wrong here, but that's okay. Okay, so we've got oil. Yeah, there's something funky going on there. But anyway, so I've got oil and 2 poisons. So what happens if I reduce my rune slots to 1? I should remove oil and poison, so let's equip. Yep, there's oil, and then I'm assuming there's a poison in here somewhere. Okay, so I think that's working. This is confusing me. It thinks that it's adding a poison stack and removing an oil stack. Why does it think it's doing that? Okay, we're gonna have to step into that again. This is so unbelievably complex, I don't even know why. Oh, did I not start this the right way? I did not. All right, let's just run debugger. All right, so let's see if we can get in that situation again. So if I go, let's see. Oh, don't tell me I don't get any rune slots. Okay. Try again. We shall try again. How's everyone doing tonight? All right, let's see. Okay, 3 rune slots, equip. Let's add a poison stack, okay. And then let's add, okay, so that's exactly the problem that I'm seeing. For some reason, it thinks it's adding another poison stack. So let's go ahead and put another breakpoint in here. And we'll just step through and we'll examine why that's happening. Okay, breakpoint established. I'm just gonna click this. All right. So I think I need to skip the first iteration. Yep, okay. All right, let's take a look at what's going on in here. So our base resources, I know this is very tiny. So we've got poison in that one, and then we've got poison in that one. Is that right? Oh, right, because we're, hold on, let me just step through. need to understand what's going on again. Okay, yeah, so there's 2 poison stacks existing on this thing. Oops. So there's 2 poison stacks existing, so when I go and click on a 3rd one to fill out that last rune slot. Okay, so this is the problem that we're running into. So the fire rate is the new rune coming in, but it says it's being removed, and that's not right. So, and then it also says it's adding a poison stack for some reason. So let's click on this again. So the problem is that it's adding a poison stack and removing the fire affix. So let's take a look. So I'm just going to step, let's see, maybe to here. Actually, I don't really care about this loop, I don't think. I'm just going to double check that the existing affixes is correct. Yep, so we've got our existing affixes. Let's just see, is there anything in the removed affix? No, there's nothing here, okay. All right, so everything up to this point is good. We've got our existing affixes and our removed affixes correctly set. All right, so our new affix start index, that should be 2, right? Existing affixes, add range. What are my additional affixes? Ah, here's the problem. It's, okay, so maybe this isn't actually a problem. So this additional affixes array here contains poison and fire rate. And then from that point onward, it's actually correct, because what's happening is it thinks it's adding 2 new affixes. So it's showing the 1 additional poison, and then it's showing the fire rate, but because the fire rate then would exceed the total number of rune slots, is showing it as being removed. So the fundamental problem here is that this contains more elements than I'm expecting it to. It should only contain 1. And so we have to figure that out. Why is that happening? Okay, well, there's only a couple places where this could be coming from. One is here. Comparison part resource. Yeah, additional affixes. Okay. So this part resource that's coming in here is it has too many affixes. So I'm going to go to my Gunforge UI, select affix index. So what's happening in here? So this is what happens when I click. Actually, I can put a breakpoint in here. We could just step through this. Yeah, let's do that. So if I, oops. Uh-oh, how do I bring up the debug window? There it is. Okay, so if I click this again, I'm just gonna skip this, skip that. Oh, I guess I was wrong. Let's do this again. Okay. So let's just, I guess let's go down to here. Oh, it didn't even get that far. Oh, no, it's fine. Okay, so the resource with the open affix. So again, the way that it works is that each gun part has its own rune slots and also its own list of affixes. And I'm just trying to like put all the affixes together from across all the rune parts. And then once I figure out what's getting added, what's getting removed, what's staying, then I need to spread that all out again across all the affixes. So it's a very weird system, but so I basically just need to make sure that this, right, okay. So the problem is that, oh man. Oh, this is a mess. This is a mess. I think I would be better served not trying to use gun part resources for affixes whenever I can, at least for the calculation. So I know what the problem is. So the problem is that the item that was being selected already had an affix inside of it. And then what I'm essentially doing is I'm adding another affix to it, and then passing that into the set comparison part here. I think I would just be better served if I just straight up passed in the affixes that I want to add instead of trying to mess with this resource kind of deal. So I think what I want to do is what do I want to do? I think it's the same deal. I think I just need to pass in the affixes that I want to add. So this is kind of messy, but I think this is just going to make much more sense the less I'm trying to do things through the gun part resource and the more that I just explicitly say, hey, this is what I want to do. So we'll just deal with that. So additional affixes here can just be affixes to add, like so. And so we kind of just avoid that problem entirely. Now the question is, do I even need to pass in a gun part resource then? Like, I'm really curious if I can just do this. So in my Gunforge UI, instead of trying to grab, thank you, cat. Instead of trying to grab the resource, the first resource with an open affix here, I wonder if I can just pass null in here. Null, and then I can say new array with that new affix there. Okay, I think that might work. Let's see. I'm doing good. Thank you, Arian. This would be the point I'd be tempted to do a complete architecture rewrite, hence why I never get past the early stages of development. Well, the thing is, I tried doing that. I have a branch here called affix overhaul, which was basically that. The problem was that that actually creates more complexity. So it's kind of like well, I could have a lot of complexity in a very narrow kind of region of the game, or I can introduce a bunch of complexity that touches like everywhere in the game. And so it was like, I don't like doing it this way. I would prefer to do a rewrite, but at this stage, I'm more interested in getting the game done. So I'm trying to make this solution work as much as possible and be as narrowly confined as possible so that it doesn't bleed out into the rest of the code base. That's kind of why I'm doing everything through these helper methods here. But yeah, it's not pretty, that's for sure. Okay, so if I set comparison part affixes to add, we're passing that through. Cool, and I think I can probably just get away with doing null here. And I'm even wondering if I can do that for here. Like, I don't even know if I need to do that. I think I can probably just do null there, null here as well. I don't know. I guess there's only one way to find out. What's cooking? Not much. Artindi, what's up with you? Yeah, we're just working on this new Rune system, which is going to allow players to freely swap the affixes on their guns to their liking. But it's it's going well. Just got a lot of work to do, that's all. Now, why is this happening? I honestly don't think I want this line here anymore. I don't even know where this is being called from, though. Is this what I just edited? Why did I think that this was going to be... Okay, well, I'm just going to remove that. Okay, let's try that again. 3 slots. We add a poison stack. Okay, I think that seems to be working. Okay, so I can add bullet tracks to the nearest crosshair, like so. I can add 3 slots, and then I can say, let's add another poison stack. Let's add another poison stack. Okay, so that's still combining into 2. But I can increase the rune slots to 4 and then add another one. Okay, so the problem... okay, let me just do a couple more tests of this real quick, just to make sure that that is indeed working the way that I think it's supposed to. I'm feeling better about that solution. Instead of trying to like work through the gun part resources, just passing in the changes that I'm desiring to make, and all of that's going well. So that's how we do it, I suppose. So let's see, do I not? Okay, here we go. Add 2 rune slots there. Can add a poison stack. That's okay for now. That's not exactly desired. If I equip this gun part, it should remove a poison rune. That's good. Let's equip that gun part. Let's add an oil stack. Perfect. And then let's see, is this going to remove oil stack? Yep. Okay, cool. All right, just one more test here. And then I think we can move on to the next problem. Hello, UTK. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for the semicolon. Okay. So let's see. 2 rune slots. Add 1 poison stack. Okay. I think this is working. Oh, 4 rune slots. Let's go. Bullets deal up to 100% whatever damage. Cool. This doesn't scroll, but yeah, I'm pretty confident that those are all being added because whenever, so the equipped runes here, these are all the runes that are currently on the gun. And so I can just remove like the poison and it goes back into my rune inventory up here. And so the idea too that I have is that this rune inventory will initially be very small. It will be like 3 slots or something like that. And the idea is that that could be part of the meta progression. So when you start the game, you have a really small rune inventory, and that rune inventory is apart from your equipped runes. So you can have as many runes on your gun as your gun slot or your rune slots allow, but this rune inventory is basically a permanent inventory that lasts for the duration of the run, where you can just hold on to something until, like, if it fits your build or fits a build that you want to do, but you can't quite make it happen yet, you can hold on to that rune until you have more opportunities to create the build that you want to create. And the idea is that this side inventory, this permanent inventory, will start off very small, but as you play the game, as part of the meta progression, you can put points into increasing the number of slots you have here, which will probably make the game a little bit easier because you'll be able to just hoard a bunch of runes and then you can just put your build together as soon as you get that, you know, part or whatever that that you need. Hey Drufus, no worries. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so we're going to now, what are we going to do? Let's figure out that issue with, so if I remove this, remove that. So I want to figure out this issue. And I think there's a question of, you know, I think that makes sense. So show it in the green when you're adding it, but as soon as you add it, these should collapse into a single label here. So I just need to figure out what's going on with this, which should be relatively easy, I think. But we're gonna take a look at it. Nice new look. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, this screen is mostly temporary. I mean, I think the layout is good for the most part, but I have a lot I want to do with this screen. I want to add a bunch of animations and stuff, and maybe things will shift around, but yeah, I'm glad you like it. Okay, cool. So we're going to solve this issue here, this 2 poison stacks, this label being duplicated here. But before I do that, I'm going to take a very quick break, and then I'll be back, so it'll only be a couple minutes. So in the meantime, while I'm taking that quick break, you could check out my Udemy course if you're interested in learning how to make games in the Godot engine. Link for that is in the description below. And if you are interested in Gunforged, you can wishlist that on Steam. The link for that is in the description below as well. And I'm going to go take a quick 2-minute break, and then we'll be back to fix this this duplicate label issue. All right, I'm back. Hello, Bonaire. I like this direction a lot. Are you planning on naming the runes for quicker player understanding? Yeah, so they are. So I have icons that I started to work on. That system's not done yet, but there will be icons for all of the different rune types. But if you click on it, I think, well, maybe I haven't started work on this yet, but there will be a name here. So this little box here shows you what you've got selected. So it will have a name, but also an icon, and then it will also show up here. Also, thank you for vouching for the Udemy course. All right, so this should be relatively easy to figure out because I believe I'm already running in debug mode. And the issue is most likely with this, our good old method here, get distributed affix data. So let's just put a breakpoint right there, and let's go ahead and click on something. Skip the first iteration. I forgot why it's doing two resets, but whatever. Okay. So maybe it would just be good to... Let's just skip ahead to here. Let's just see if everything makes sense. Actually, I think I'm just going to go straight down to here. So, removed affixes, new affixes, static affixes. Oh, I see. So it's actually not in here, so that's good. It's actually in the label factory, I think. So this is where the debug sort of thread is. I don't know what the technical term is. Okay, so the problem must be here for static affix in static affixes. So I think what I need to do, okay, I think I know what I need to do. Okay. Yeah, so I know what I need to do here. So what's happening is that I'm just iterating over the static affixes and I'm creating a new label for each one. But the problem is that I'm already counting them up. So this static affix count here is just a little link statement here, which groups the affixes by type. So the static affixes are the affixes that didn't change from calling this function. And then it counts them up. So it groups them by type and counts them up. So the obvious problem is that instead of looping over each static affix, I need to loop over each unique type of static affix. So what I'll do is I'll just say var unique static affixes equals static affixes dot distinct by x dot get type, and I can just loop over that unique static affixes, and that should fix it. Now I should probably do the same thing for these, even though what's happening is, well, multiple of the same affix could be removed actually. So I do need to do it for the removed affixes. So let's just do unique removed affixes equals removed affixes dot distinct by x dot x get type. And then this one, the new affixes should almost always be 1, but I'm just going to go ahead and, oops, I should iterate over there. I'm just going to go ahead and do the same thing here. So var unique new affixes dot distinct by x. This is one of the reasons why I like using C# over GDScript, by the way, is like having the power of link to just like manipulate data in the way that you need it to be manipulated. I'm sure you could find a GDScript library that does a bunch of similar things, but having that built in as C# is really nice. All right, so that ought to do it. I'm going to rename some things here to just be more consistent. Cool. All right, let's see if that fixed it. Going lurker mode, no worries. Enjoy your dinner. We're all just chilling here. All right. So let's go ahead and add another rune slot. And then if I put another poison stack, add rune. Boom. Whoops. Now what would really be good is if I could find a weapon part that reduces my rune slots to 0 and see if that shows me 2 removed poisons. Yeah, interfaces. Yeah, I love interfaces. I make really heavy use of abstract classes in Gunforged here, and I don't know what I would do if I didn't have that available to me. Okay, here's one that goes to 0. But none of the other ones. Okay. I know this is annoying, but I don't really have a really straightforward way of saying, here's how many affix slots I want each part to have, so I'm just kind of like going to keep restarting the game until I find some parts that do what I want. You know what I could do, though, is I could generate more weapon parts here, so I don't have to restart as much. New gun part resources, let's just make 10 of them. Cool. All right, let's find a part that brings me down to 0. No parts bringing me down to 0? Well, this would probably be easier. Actually, oh, I keep forgetting I have a second gun I can test against, which I believe has 0 slots. So I didn't actually need to go through all that effort. Okay, this one has 0. Okay. So let's find one that gives me 2. Yep, equip. Oh, that also came with bleed. Very nice. So let's add a poison stack. Add another poison stack. And now if I switch to 0, boom, there we go. -2 poison stacks. So it knows that it's removing 2 poison affixes, and because it's counting up the instances of it and only iterating over the unique affixes, it just combines them into one label. So that appears to be working very nice, and I can equip that, and then both of those go back up into my inventory. So that's a good thing. I mean, I wrote this method, this get distributed affix data, to be very general. So that way I can use it for the UI and for the actual logic of like shifting things between the inventory. And because I'm using the same code in all instances, it gives me consistent results. So that's good. All right. So now there's more issues to fix, but first, before I fix those, I'm just going to commit what I have, because this is actually, I think we've already fixed like four different issues with this. And I can remove these comments here. So we simplified some code in some places, made the code a lot more complex in other places. So we're just going to say that it's a wash. Okay. I don't want to actually commit this, so I'm not going to stage that one. I guess I should stage these as I'm going along. All of that is good, so stage that. Cool. Fix a bunch of issues with affix label data. All right, so let's commit and push that. So what's the next thing that needs to be fixed here? So one thing that needs to be fixed is that if I select a rune here that exceeds the rune slots, it ideally shouldn't show any kind of thing here. Probably disable the button as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So Gunforge UI, so if I go to select affix index, so in here, where is this actually happening? So I basically just need to see if this affix being added would exceed the number of rune slots. So we're going to grab all the part resources that are associated with the current slot that we're looking at, the current gun that we're looking at. And then I wonder if I should just, in the gun part utils here, I wonder if I should just do this. Let's get rid of that. Oh, there's another thing that I want to do too. We're going to get rid of this one. Get gun part resource with affix removed. I don't know what this is doing. I thought I could delete this, but I need to look into this, I suppose. Get gun part resource with affix removed. I think this needs to be fixed. I don't think this is correct. Yeah, I don't think that's correct at all. Because this is what I was talking about earlier. This is actually doing a different removal logic than the logic that is used in that big function. So I'm going to need to make a note to fix that. To do, this is not a good way of removing the affix. Use gun part utils instead. Okay. So anyway, I was going to write a method in here. Public static void get used affix slots, I guess, and maybe I'm just going to return int, return a little tuple here, used slots, int total slots. Okay, and then in here, what we're going to do is we're simply just going to say var we're just going to get that as an array because I think, again, writer will complain about multiple enumeration. Okay, and we're going to say var used slots is equal to part resources dot sum x dot affixes dot count, and then var total slots is equal to part resources sum x dot affix slots, and then we can return used slots and total slots. Okay, so in here, we'll just call that we just wrote, get used affix slots, gun part resources. Okay, and then what we're gonna need to do is in here, if used slots is less than total slots, then we'll do this. Else, equip button dot disabled equals true. Equip button dot text is equal to no available rune slots. I have no clue if that's going to work, but there are places where I'm updating this. Yeah, reset gun preview. So I'm going to say equip button dot disabled equals false. We still need the affix for updating that description. Okay, so let's see if that works. So the idea is that if I try to equip a rune on a gun that's already full or doesn't have any rune slots, then there we go. No available rune slots right there. Perfect. But if I remove that rune, now I can freely place whatever I want on there. So that was actually pretty good. That was easier than I thought it was going to be, so that's nice. Hello, Milan. I'm not going to try. I hope I said your name correctly, but apologies if I didn't. How do you do fixed pixel jittering when character moving? Or don't you have any problem with pixel art? No, there's definitely a little bit of jitter there, and I don't really know what to do about that except to say that just gonna have to kind of deal with it. It's not super noticeable in Gunforged. Excuse me. It's not that noticeable in Gunforged because you're moving around so fast you're not really looking at your character anyway. So yeah, I haven't really fixed it, unfortunately. It's a big problem for sure. I realize that's not helpful, but I think, yeah, every solution that I've tried to like alleviate that issue, it just doesn't work. I think somebody wrote up a proposal that showed that basically it's just a problem, like a fundamental problem with Godot's, like how things are drawn to the viewport or something. I don't know, you could look at I'm sure you could find it if you Googled for it. I think it was a relatively recent post that somebody did with like a bunch of in-depth information about how the transforms are passing through the code and all that stuff. I know, very technical, right? I didn't really understand anything that he wrote, but suffice to say that he did a deep dive and figured out what the ultimate source of the jittering is. All right, let's see. So what's the next thing that needs to happen with this screen? I mean, there's a lot that needs to happen. This is in rough shape still, but so one thing that's bothering me is I don't know why when I select this rune, it doesn't stay highlighted. I don't know why that's happening, so I want to fix that. So the first thing that I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at equipped rune container, equipped rune grid container down here. I think that's using the same. I think that's using the same type of button, but or the same type of, yeah, same type of button, but I don't know why this is not staying selected. I might have to step through that, but let me just check the remote scene tree here first. Can I expand all these? We will find the node that this exists in eventually. Okay, here it is. Yeah, so that's definitely correct. Is this texture rect being problematic if I ignore? No, that doesn't appear to work, although I probably should just do that by default here. These texture rects here, I think I just probably need to set the mouse filter mode to ignore. I doubt that will fix anything. Whoops, I didn't mean to start the full game. I'm losing it. Shader workarounds, but it's kind of overkill, I think. Yeah, I've seen that as well, and it's, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. I might, like, once the game gets closer to completion, I might try to take a stab at implementing something like that, but yeah, I think it would be probably hard to get right. Why is this not... Everything else I click here retains the focus except for this when I click on it. It's the most bizarre thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to... See, I want to step through this, but I don't see anything why that would break anything. There's really no difference here, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. So the other affixes work. So, oh, was I looking in the wrong area? Let's see. Yeah, this is odd. If select equipped it out. Okay, let's see. Set comparison part. I mean, the only thing that's really missing is this update gun preview title. But I don't even know if this is necessary either anymore. Like, I don't think that's necessary there. It's necessary here, but it's not necessary for the affixes. Is there a hover exit removing the highlight? Well, see, the thing is, there's no hover exit happening here for this upper one. This is what's confusing, right? Is that these buttons are the same scene as this button, and yet when I click here, it doesn't maintain the highlight state, but when I click up here, it does. So there's something very odd happening. Unless this is being updated and I just can't see that happening. If I go to my remote scene tree. Oh, there's the problem. It looks like my selection of this is freeing and reinstantiating this button here. I think I can I rename this? Nope. Well, what I could do okay, so I cleared the icon from there just for that node. And now if I click on it, the icon should reappear because it's being reinstantiated. Yep. Okay, so that's the issue. So I need to figure out why it's doing that useless reinstantiation whenever I click into that. Hello, David. Yeah, you can use other languages. C# is officially supported. I think C++ you can use via GD extension if I'm correct. But then like there are other community language bindings. Like I tried to use ECMAScript, which is JavaScript, in Godot, and it worked. The type safety didn't work well with TypeScript for some reason, but I was able to write JavaScript code and it hooked into the bindings of the Godot API and was able to use that. So, but yeah, C# is supported by default. You can download the .NET version from godotengine.org, but then there's a bunch of community bindings as well. I think there's a Rust binding. You can write your code in Rust or your scripts in Rust. Yeah. C# gang, yeah. Hello, Cruda. Been slowly going through the course. Amazing Udemy course. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm so glad that you like it. Yeah, I want to do a C# course at some point too. I keep saying this every stream, but there's not enough time in the world, you know? Got my job, got to finish Gunforge, got to make YouTube videos, got to make Udemy courses. Where do people find the time to do these things? I mean, just pay no attention to the fact that I put a couple 100 hours into Baldur's Gate 3. We'll just ignore that part of it. All right. So let's see. So yeah, we got to figure out why that's being reinstantiated unnecessarily. Select equipped affix index. Why is this going wrong? Well, let's take a look at where that equipped Rune grid container. Where is that being set? Okay, in here, reset gun preview. Ah, okay. So whenever I call reset gun preview, it's freeing the equipped Rune container. Okay. Okay. Now, why is that necessary? Why is that necessary? Why do I need to do that in here? So this is called in a bunch of places. So it's called when you select the affix, when you select an affix index, Yeah, I don't know why that happens. That only needs to happen when the inventory of your affixes is... So I'm going to remove this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new method here. Private void update equipped affixes. And we're just going to go ahead and just put that check in here. Cool. So we will need to do, let's see. Oh, I should put a return right there. So when equip selected gun part happens, oh, update affix options. I wonder if I could just... Am I thinking about this wrong? So affix options, update affix options happens. I just need to wrap my head around this 1 second. Equip, so whenever I select a gun part, it needs to update the affix options. Right, but it also needs to update the equipped affixes. Remove equipped affix. Update equipped affixes. So yeah, I think if I just merge these two things, it probably makes more sense. Since whenever the affixes change for one of the grids, it's going to have to change for the other one, or it will often change for the other one. So I think what I'll do is wherever I put that function, update equipped affixes, I'm just going to grab that and put that into update affix options, which is all the way up here for some reason. Okay. So that ought to fix my issue. Let's see if it does. Welcome back, Artindi. How was your dinner? I ask myself, where do I find my time? But then I drop 100+ hours into Football Manager. Yeah, that is the temptation, right? That's what's nice about, you know, being like a hobby dev, though, is that you're not really under any kind of pressure to put in a lot of time to your game if you don't want to. It was nice to take a little bit of time off to play Baldur's Gate. But yeah, studying game design, that's hilarious. It's called market research, yeah. I have done, unironically, that with a bunch of smaller, like, roguelike games, but I haven't played any of those for more than, like, 15 minutes. But yeah, Baldur's Gate, yep, that was my market research for sure. Okay, so now that's staying highlighted. If I remove that rune, it should be updated. If I equip this one, it should update. Oop, it did not. Why did that not update? Oh, because when I call equip selected affix, I mean, this is kind of inefficient because when I call equip selected affix here, what it's doing is it's just removing the button or the rune that's in that grid, which is the efficient thing to do. And I should probably continue doing that, but it's much easier just to call update affix options and just like rebuild the whole thing. Because what this does is it just removes all the buttons and rebuilds them. But I think I do like how this is This is just more narrowly defined. So I think I'm gonna do a little bit of what I should do and just break this out. So yeah, we're gonna need to have this update affix options for sure. But what I want to do is private void add affix to equipped affix grid gun part affix. And then in here, we'll basically just take the body of that and put it in there. And that's essentially all that needs to happen. And then what I can do is I can say add affix to equipped affix grid, like so. And then we'll do the same thing up here. Okay. Add affix to available affix grid affix. So now that we've broken those out, I should be able to, in here, so in remove equipped affix, that's just freeing that. So I don't need to update the affix options here, because what I can do is I can say add available affix, add affix to available affix grid affix here, right? So now I'm only instantiating one thing. Then up here, equip selected affix, what I can do is I can say, so I'm already freeing that here, right? And so I can get rid of this update affix options here. And what I can do is I can say, add affix to equipped affix grid, like so. Okay, so now instead of rebuilding both of those grids, it should just be narrowly inserting and removing them as necessary. So if I say remove that, that should be poison. I can add that. Can't add that one, so let's do equip gun part there. Add a poison stack, those collapse. And then we'll remove that. This is working. It is working, it is working. So, yeah. Okay. So I'm going to commit those couple of fixes as well. Let's stage that. Let's stage that. Let's stage that one. Stage those as well. Okay. More fixes to gun forge UI. So I think what I'm going to do, oops, dang it, I didn't want to do that. Push. I really don't like Rider's Git integration at all. Like VS Code was a one-click commit and push, and this does have a one-click commit and push, but you have to make sure to stage new files first, and it's like, ugh. VS Code was so much easier. It was just like, oh, everything in the change list, commit and push, done. No, no babysitting necessary. Anyway, random gripe over. What I want to do is I'm gonna play the game a little bit and just show you what this looks like when it's in the flow of the game. Hello, channel name. Just finished your Udemy course. It was great. Thank you. I appreciate that. Glad you liked it. Yeah, for anyone interested, the link to the Udemy course is in the description below. Yeah, hello, Kos's boss. I think I'm saying that right. Yeah, the link is in the description, so you can check that out. You're doing far too much market research on Diablo 4. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to select a passive here. Let's take Zap. That's going to start zapping this guy right here, the little training dummy. So if I go to equip my gun parts, so this is more like what it will look like in a game. So I've got a random rune here, which I cannot equip But let's see. That DPS goes up. Ooh, that's a big DPS boost right there. 59, and then I can equip that. So I've got 2 rune slots, and I might as well just go ahead and add the fire stack on there. So now I've got poison and fire. And let's see if I can get any upgrades for this gun here. I'll equip that for the lower spread, but... Okay, so now I can look at my weapons, and you can see I've got my weapon as I've configured. So let's go ahead and move on to the next wave. So that's kind of what the process will look like in the full game. Let's go ahead and just do another round of updating the gun. What's nice about this system too is that I can give the player more opportunities to loot affixes as well. So like an affix could drop in the middle of the wave and you could like have to rush to go get it, right? And that can be added to your inventory. Let's take the health increase. Okay, what do I got here? So right now I'm just having it add one brand new one random affix to the available runes here. And so let's see. We can add a rune slot to this one, so let's go ahead and add that, and then let's just go and throw on that shock grenade status. Oh, this is not updating. So we need to fix that. This equipped runes is not updating when I swap between guns. That's probably why I was regenerating it when reset gun was called. But we'll deal with that problem later. Yeah, let me write that down. Okay. There's a gun scrambler. I probably need to update that gun scrambler. I don't think that it's going to work with this new system. Because previously the gun scrambler would just completely randomize your gun. So I could either keep that and just try to carry over as many of the affixes that you have currently as possible, or I can just do something like it maintains all the affixes and all of the affix slots, and it simply just randomizes all the weapon parts, you know? So it like will randomize the stats, but not the affixes. Ooh, bodyguard, get down, Mr. President, let's go. Look at him. Protect me. All right. Yeah, this equipped runes thing is actually interrupting the flow quite a bit. How much time are you finding to work on this outside of the weekend streams? I typically do an hour or 2 of work on it every night after my day job. And I also worked on it for probably 3-ish hours today outside of the stream. So it's like a modest amount. Progress is definitely slow because I'm not putting a whole lot of time into it, but we're getting there. Slowly but surely. Hello, Matt James. Keep up the good work. I decided to go back to GDScript from C#. It's just more enjoyable to code in for me. It was a nice adventure, learning how to convert it all over though. Yeah, I mean, I like GDScript a lot. I probably wouldn't use it for a game of the scale that I'm working on here, but I use it all the time for like game jam games, and there are big games that were written with GDScript, of course. So it's absolutely possible. And yeah, I don't have anything against GDScript at all. I like it a lot, but C# is better for me for more complex things where I need to keep things straight, you know. Oh, Artindi, I can't believe it. That's all. That's good though. Thank you for doing that. And yeah, have a good evening. I'll see you in the next one, hopefully. All right, let's go ahead and fix that issue where when the weapon is swapped, it's not... it's not updating. So where is that happening? Toggle weapon preview in here. Yeah, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call update affix options, which is going to regenerate the entire thing. But I think that's probably okay. I think that's probably okay. Perfect. Okay, so now we've got the equipped runes updating here when I swap. And if I just go ahead and just equip a bunch of these. Perfect. Okay. Seems to be working. Seems to be working pretty good. That was a quick fix. All right, and then there's this little to-do down here that I want to address. So when I remove an equipped affix, this is not a good way of removing the affix. Use gun part utils instead. Actually, is that right? Maybe I'm actually... I think I probably should use the gun part utils though, so let's do this. Gun part utils dot get distributed affix data. What do I need to pass in? The base resources. What are you doing, bud? You want to come and sit? Oh. Okay. Come on. Cat can't make up his mind. So when I go to base resources, I think I don't remember how to use this function. So I need to get the gun part resources. So let's do this. Gun manager.get gun part resources. Gun preview slot. We'll pass in those gun part resources here. And then the next one is the to compare resources, which is null. Additional affixes, null. And affixes to remove, new affix. Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. So I think what I just need to do here is I just need to say redistributed affixes. And I just need to discard everything else, I guess. So the redistributed affixes is essentially what this represents is this is the list of affixes that I should then go and put on the gun. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say gun manager dot redistribute affixes for the slot that we're currently looking at. And then I'm just going to pass in those redistributed affixes. And then what that means is that I can just get rid of all of this stuff here, I think, and then I can just go ahead and delete that. And is it going to complain? Cool. All right, let's see. Let's just verify that that works. So I feel much better about that. It may not have been technically broken, but now that I'm using this method for everything related to inserting or removing affixes, I feel much better that it's just all going through the same place. That should minimize any sort of issues. So yeah, I think everything appears to be working still. So if I equip that gun part, add that, let's say I want to remove the oil stack, boom, perfect. I want to update this too, or maybe I could put in both slots, but say like 0 out of 3 right here. I wonder how hard that would be to do. I don't think it would be very hard at all. Let's see if we can actually go ahead and do that. So if I go to my label factory, where are my rune slots? Here. So total affix slots, polarity map, create label. Cool. I think what I can do is I can actually kind of var rune label is equal to create label here. And what I can do is I can say rune label dot text. Left text? Oh no. I think this is just going to take a little bit of finagling. If rune label dot left text, let's do not string dot is null or empty. Rune label left text, what I'm going to do is just say rune label dot left text is equal to compare stats. So what we need to do is get the root stats affixes dot count. So what I'm doing here is I'm taking the final calculated, or the final string here, which is the total affix slots, putting that as sort of like the denominator divided by a slash here, and then taking the number of affixes. Now it's going to have to be a little bit different if not string dot is null or empty rune label dot write text, because I could end up in a situation where this number could actually be greater than, could it be? Oh, maybe not. No, yeah, I need to do this. I need to say math f dot min of root stats dot affixes, and also the compare stats Okay, I think this works. So if the stats that I'm comparing, the total affix slots, if it's not null, then what I want to do is take the minimum between the current affixes count and the compare stats affix slots. So that means if I go from 5 rune slots and 5 affixes to 4 rune slots and 4 affixes, I just need to make sure that this numerator is 4 instead of 5. And then what I can do is I can say rune label dot write text equals numerator divided by rune label dot write text. Guess it wouldn't be divided by, it's just a slash. Okay. And then this down here, I can go ahead and add that rune label. All right, let's see if that works. Let's see. Do you have a loot goblin type of enemy like in Brotato, something to serve as a sort of DPS check, synced, prioritizing a short window while surviving a firefight? Yeah, I do have an idea for that. One of them is going to be a passive, actually. There's going to be a passive where if you take damage, it will spawn a health goblin, and if you manage to kill the health goblin, you'll get your health back. But I should do a loot goblin as well. I get it for sure. They're finally in the process of adding refactoring natively to the Godot engine, which was the main thing I missed. Yeah, that's definitely a big pain point. Although it's not terribly bad if, like, I used to use VS Code for GDScript, and the find and replace was a lot more intuitive in VS Code, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, native refactoring tools is great. Hello, Marcos. Welcome to the stream. How about Gun Scrambler do some visual floating gun, random gun parts appearing, changing the gun? Visually floating gun, random. Oh, I see. Yeah. Would it be your right text? As that's where your 3 is, that's where you want 0, 3. Left would be the name. Oh, maybe, yeah, so the left and the right text is the comparison. So when I pass in a part to compare, this is the left text and this is the right text. So it's not the left and right of the slash, it's the left and right in terms of what goes on either side of the arrow here. If that makes sense. Am I planning on adding more characters? Yes, more characters will definitely be a thing. Passive health goblin for regaining health is very cool. Yeah, I think so. I can't wait to work on that, but I've got these fundamental issues that I need to fix first. And yeah, there's a lot of content I still have to do. I still have to finish all the rest of the arenas. I have to add more characters, do the meta progression, fix these build issues, add a lot more guns, add a lot more passives, a lot more affixes, more status interactions. I have to finish building out the elite enemy system. Do a bunch of bosses. There's so much work to do. But, you know. Okay, so this is working the way that I expected it to go. So it's 0 out of 0 to 0 out of 1. The problem is that that doesn't look good, necessarily. Like, I guess maybe I should only do that. Maybe I should only do that if there is a comparison. So I could say if compare stats is not equal to null. Oh, wait. Did I do this wrong? Yeah. Sorry. If compare stats equals null, then I want to show it like this. Because I liked the way that the comparison was shown before, where it just goes from 1 to 2 or whatever. But when there's no comparison part, I think showing 1 out of 1 here is much better. So it goes from 1 to 0, 1 to 2, so I can equip, and now it shows 1 out of 2. And I can add that rune. Yeah. I think that makes a little bit more sense. This is much cleaner. Oh, I'm going from 2 to 1 total, equip that, and now it shows me that I have 1 out of 1. If I remove that rune, 0 out of 1. Equip that, 0 out of 2. Add rune. Add rune. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Any particular reason you use C# over GDScript? I'm new to game dev and Godot and just wondering if there's an advantage to one or the other than C# being more common in other fields. Yeah, that's honestly, Jay Scott, and welcome to the stream, by the way. That's the reason that I choose it, is just, it's more comfortable for me. And I just like the tools that it gives me in terms of like object-oriented software design patterns. You know, I have abstract classes, interfaces, Static classes is a big one. So yeah, that's the reason I use it. Like I said earlier in the stream that GDScript is perfectly capable, though. I use GDScript all the time for game jams and whatnot, and I really like it because it's really fast. So it's just a matter of like, you get a lot more, I feel like you get a lot more control over the design of your code with C#. You can architect things much more cleanly and much more powerfully, I would say. But it does take longer to write, and it's more verbose, and your game has a compile time whenever you start it. C# apparently is more performant in very certain cases than GDScript, but I don't really think that that's a reason to use it globally. There are people like Mrs. is on YouTube. He wrote some parts of one of his games in C#, but only the parts that needed to be faster. The rest of it was GDScript. So all of that is to say, I think it's just a matter of whatever your preference is. I would recommend probably starting with GDScript just because it's right built into the editor, and most tutorials are GDScript, and it's a lot quicker to get things done in GDScript, but you can certainly use C# if you would prefer that. So yeah. Did you try Bing AI to help creating references for guns, enemies, boss arenas? I have used, I have used some like ChatGPT tools to help me brainstorm some things. I actually came up with the name Gunforged by just like asking AI to give me a bunch of names. It didn't give me the name Gunforged, but because of the names it spit out, I was like able to like kind of mash some things together. So it was kind of cool. Oh yeah, no worries, Matt James. I appreciate the, or Matt Janes. I appreciate the input. You're actually working through the Udemy course. Awesome. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. You guys are like the best advertisers for my course. I don't even need to plug it during these streams. I do appreciate it though. I'm super happy to hear that you are enjoying that course. Alrighty. Well, I will say that that was a very productive stream. So I'm going to commit this, and that will probably be the end of the stream for tonight. Let's see if there's any other messages here. Bing one, create images so you can create some references. Okay, good to know. Yeah. I think I might use that then. I got a few people to grab the course after I found it. Highly recommend it. You're very thorough. Made me feel comfortable with the engine after coming from Unity. Excellent. That's exactly what I was hoping for. So yeah, really happy to hear that. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, that's it for the stream tonight. Yeah, if you're interested in learning Godot game development, you could check out my course. The link for that is in the description. Also, please wishlist Gunforged if you're interested in it. That would help me out a lot. And yeah, subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell so you can be alerted when I'm going live. I don't really have a schedule. I just kind of say, oh, I feel like streaming, and it's usually on weekends. So if you want to be able to catch the stream, the best way to do that is to turn on that notification bell so you can know when I'm going live. Or you can follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter. All the links are in the description below, so yeah. All right. Yeah, first time catching the stream. Sweet. Well, it was good to have you. Good to have everyone here. Thanks for chilling with me, and have a good rest of your evening, and I'll see you in the next one.